Rob was a man who went to Africa afraid of death and came back from Africa completely terrified of death.
I knew Rob had played with Nerf guns when he was a kid.
Of course, we're all an amalgamation of different personalities, but Rob, more than anyone, changes himself completely once every 6 months to a year.
If he decides he's moving to Alaska and hunt bears, it will happen. That's what he's going to do. I love that whenever Rob truly finds something that he wants to do and makes a decision, there's no half-assed approach to it at all. He's 100% every time.
He's kind of intimidating at first because he's really tall and has a thick beard, and you're thinking, well, if he's not going to college, he's just like this crazy guy that plays Nerf with these bunch of college kids.
It's so special. It's like a Nerf kingdom, and nobody has done anything like it. He was like, I'm gonna build it, you guys can help me, it's always gonna be free, and it's just, this is your place now. It's mine and yours, and it's safe, and you can just be whatever you want here.
What is it in this world that breaks your heart? And then you think about what makes you come alive. What, when you do it, time just passes like crazy. Figure out what that is and put those two things together.
God forbid he comes up with an idea, because when that idea gets in his head, he will run with it. And by run with it, I mean 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Or until that project is done, or until he gets bored with it, that is the only thing Rob will do. And that was exactly what happened with the Nerf course.
Welcome to Thunderdome. Let's do this. This tower.
In some respects, Rob is one of the most open people that I know. If you ask him a question, he'll answer anything you want to know about his life, his thoughts, his fears.
There are times in his life, I think, for months, weeks, that he can't do anything, and that depression really can eat him, and I have seen it eat him before, and he might still be functioning like living, but it's definitely not the same Rob.
I've asked him a lot of times, well, what are you planning on doing next week? And if he's in one of his like really, really relaxed phases, or he's like in his really, really hard work phase, he's like, I'm not planning on being alive next week. He's gonna just suck the mirror out of life, work as hard as he can and leave the biggest impact he can, and it probably all boils down to fear.
He is so scared that everything is going to end at any moment. He wants to live completely to the fullest. And Thunderdome lets him do that.
I think in the last year, we've probably done 30 separate Thunderdome events. Usually I play about the first 10 games, and then I'll just sit on the roof and just enjoy watching people have fun, like especially some of the people who are new here, like they're skeptical at first, and then you just see this smile on the face. They pick up a gun and then they're just diving behind cover. They look like action heroes, and it's the most wonderful thing to see that transformation and just skeptical to I am all in this in the matter of 6 minutes. And all it takes is a Nerf gun and people are having fun.
Once in life, someone has got to go out for adventure and also to learn.
Probably heard about Give a Damn after I'd known Rob for a few weeks, a month or so.
In 2005, I went to this place called Kibera. It's the second largest slum in Africa. About 1 million people live within 2.5 square miles. Most people are living on $1 a day. It was the place that really impacted me and say, people have to know about this.
So when Dan first told me about Give It In, it was, I want to go to Africa, I want to do something. And then it became, we're going to hitchhike to Africa, we're going to live on $1.25 a day when we go through the United States, Europe, and Africa. And we wanted to experience everything that we possibly could that has anything to do with poverty.
On your way to Africa, I would give you a short message. Go, see, learn, come back, teach others.
We left July 6th of 2009 to go on the Give a Damn trip. He became the day-to-day, kind of here's what we need to do, here's what we need to pack. And I took over the bigger vision of how do we make a good movie, and he took over how do we survive and make it day-to-day. How you feeling? We're about to leave now.
Where are we going?
Africa.
No.
Well, it's a couple hours, so I'm not that excited.
Maybe everyone gets a cheetah. How am I supposed to know?
Jokes aside, I just wonder what kind of impact it's gonna have when you see it.
Yeah. I'm scared. So, that's all you get. The first day, Dan took me to the slums that he had seen in 2005, and I'd heard lots of things. It's gonna be really sad, and don't cry, it's gonna stink. And I get there, and after a month of seeing the worst things I've ever seen from the ground up, it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It was just functional. Like, people were there, people were happy. And just to see all the things that people built out of nothing, like, I was so amazed that they had turned this compact space with so many people into a functioning society.
About to hop in the plane, some shots of Cabrera. This is our pilot, Frank.
This is Ryan, sorry. He's one of our mechanics.
We're taking off, and it's like a roller coaster, and they'd taken the door off so we could get good shots, and that was terrifying in itself. You know, we did a couple passes around trying to get over to the slums. We saw some animals down. It was just the first wildlife we'd seen in Africa.
Both of us are just in the zone, and we're filming. We're not really worried about each other, worried about what's going on.
The pilot had told us he was going to do something that was going to enable us to get better shots, and I'm not a pilot, so I didn't know what he meant. But all of a sudden we started to slow down, and we started to get lower and lower, and
almost like see people coming out of their little huts.
And then there's not a runway, and then I have that moment of something is wrong.
And the pilot like jerks up on the plane once, jerks up twice, and now I'm just focused. I'm just like in that, you know? And then 2 power lines come into view, and I'm like, this is the end of my life. This is when I'm gonna die.
Two St. Louis filmmakers lived through a deadly plane crash in Africa.
When their single-engine Cessna crashed into a building and burst into flames.
Paris, pictured on the left, and Lehr on the right, were flying over a slum near Nairobi when their plane went down.
And we hit, and it was like the loudest noise I've ever heard in my life. It was like getting tackled by 7 dudes at the same time, banging up against stuff, and then it was silence.
I land upside down in a plane, think I'm paralyzed, you know, say, hey, you know, someone's gonna come rescue me. I go unconscious.
I opened my eyes, and I realized I was upside down. There was blood pouring down my face. And then I was like, you're alive, you're alive, you're alive, go, 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 go. And I got out of the plane. It seemed like an hour that took me to get out, but I think it was 10 seconds. And I get out, and my immediate reaction was run as far and as fast as you can. And I thought to myself, what you do right now matters. So I went back in. I didn't really have a choice. I was afraid because there was fire everywhere, but like there was no option.
But I wake up, I see Rob. I'm upside down, so I'm all disoriented, but I hear Rob, and I understand that he's no longer in the plane. And he's saying, you gotta get out, you gotta get out. The plane is on fire, the plane is on fire. I'm like, okay, in my mind, he got out, maybe I can get out. I unhook my seatbelt, kind of hit the ground. Rob reaches for me, I grab his arm, and he pulls me out of the plane, and immediately I just sense pain all over my body, and I'm like, I have to find something to lean against.
The same thing went off in my head, like what you do right now matters.
See him run into the plane once. I can't tell what he's doing. I know he's trying to help the pilots.
If you showed me a picture of a plane and said, which part did you go in, I couldn't tell you. But I remember seeing Ryan, and I went back in, and he's upside down, and blood's pouring down his face. I've relived this memory so many times in my head, I don't know what's real and what's fake anymore. But I think he was conscious, and I think I knew it was bad, and the fire was starting to come up, and I was just trying to get his seatbelt off with everything I had, because I knew if I can get his seatbelt on, I can grab him, I can pull him.
the fire just came up all around me, and I just grabbed through the fire and got his seatbelt off. My leg caught on fire, so I instinctually backed out of the plane, and I was intending on going back in and getting it out, but then somebody grabbed me, an African grabbed me and threw me in a car, and I'm just screaming like a kid being pulled away from something that they love, but I was just screaming, we have to go back, we have to go back, he's on fire, we have to go back.
I'm frozen in trauma, and Rob is frantically screaming, and he's like, we gotta go back, he was on fire, and he's looking at me, and he's looking out the window, and he's just moving all around, and he's like, and he's just like freaking out and just saying it over and over again, we gotta go back, he was on fire, we gotta go back, we gotta go back.
And we still don't know what happened to the pilot. I really don't know what happened, I just know that we crashed, and I don't know why, I wish I could tell you why, but...
My constant pain. Just a good steady pain in my lower back. I don't want to move and I can't stop thinking about it. But I think I'm gonna be okay. I mean, Rob tried to get the guy, but he didn't come out, and 2 people dragged us. And I was like, this is when I die. But I was gonna die.
It was awful. I almost had him, and I couldn't save him. It was the fact that I only knew him for a couple hours, or not even a couple hours, a couple minutes, and that their loss of life, that they don't exist anymore. It's heart-wrenching, you know.
Rob and I are both atheists. As atheists, we believe that our consciousnesses are creations of biological organisms. And the only reason that we can think and feel and love and hate is because it was evolutionarily beneficial for us to do that. And as soon as the organism dies, there's no more reason for the consciousness, and the consciousness dies too.
I saw Rob probably 2 weeks after he came back to Springfield because he was just so holed up in his room that he didn't want to see anybody. It was like sitting next to an abused child, you know, who was completely traumatized. He creates fantastic, beautiful things when he's at his best, and when he's at his worst, the same energy is applied. Rob plays Nintendo like some men play guitars.
He would always have panic attacks about dying, and the fact that falling asleep felt like dying to him. My medical background would have told me I knew he had the beginnings of PTSD.
He was dealing with his PTSD by basically locking into something that was taking every inch of his attention span and his motivation and pushing it into a digital realm. It was the ultimate form of escapism, the most damaging kind of escapism.
For me, like with my anxiety, like I need to be stimulated, and so when I'm playing a video game that's lots of stuff going on, I can focus and I can focus at getting better, and then you add that to my talent that I have at video games, it's the perfect combination for me just losing my life into this obsession.
There's been a big dynamic shift in how video games have been played over the past 5 years. I remember when I was growing up, and me and my friends, we would always come over for a sleepover and play together, and that's how we bonded, because we were having this human interaction while playing the game. But now you play by yourself with your console or your PC, and then somebody over at their house is playing, and you can talk to each other, but you don't have that face-to-face interaction.
I kept talking to Ryan about it, just like, there's no cure for what I got. I'm gonna die, I'm afraid I'm gonna die, I'm definitely gonna die. Like, who can fix that? Any conversation I'm gonna have with any counselor, there's no way they're gonna fix it. And Ryan tells me, this is not okay. You can't live like this. This is just gonna get worse and worse, and I just can't see you like this. And
I don't think it's the game specifically. I think it's having something that you put so incredibly high on a pedestal in life that it becomes more important than everything else. If all you're doing with your life is consuming and you don't feel fulfilled with that, then you're probably wasting a really good chance to feel fulfilled. And I feel like Rob was wasting that chance to feel fulfilled.
And then Ryan saw all the things that I was going through and was trying to plant some seeds that were like positive rather than modern warfare. And he put a paintbrush in my hand, and that crazy Rob brain got the idea, we're painting now, we're gonna be a painter, and I don't know what that means, but we're gonna do it. Within 6 months of that, my whole house was covered in just everything. Like, there was murals on every wall. I was just painting. If there was a blank surface, I was gonna put something on it. People don't paint murals on their walls. Everyone wants white walls, or maybe if they're going crazy, they'll do a blue or a yellow or something.
I believe when hard things happen in your life, the people who maybe passed away or were also hurt, they don't want you to sit and wallow. They want you to take that pain and put it into action. You're not allowed to live through a plane crash and quit. You want the world to see it. It's almost like you owe something to the world. Who are you to quit? This life isn't about you and about what you want and what you feel and what's easy. And if you just cop out when it gets hard, when you just say, oh, you know, I was sick, so I have a reason to get out of this movie.
We had some plane crash footage, and just seeing that over and over again and just forcing myself to just fight my fears. It almost set me free, and it wasn't quite the terrible experience anymore. It was almost like something had happened to you 5-10 years ago, but it was almost like talking about it happened to someone else, and so I just didn't give it that power anymore.
Originally, I think for my idea for the film was kind of a pretty simplistic idea, like take Rob to Africa, he sees hard stuff, he cries, you know, breaks his heart, decides I give a damn, goes and tries to change the world himself. At the time, it seemed great and dynamic, and I think maybe in some ways, if it would have happened all in a different way, it could still been a good film. But I also think the film that we got, and just believing in God and believing in God being like the great storyteller, I think he said, how crazy would it be that the atheist saves the Christian guy's life? You know, the guy who doesn't give a damn shows that he gives a damn, and he gives a damn about his friends.
But Rob mentioned that he had a box of Nerf guns at his dad's house, and I was like, dude, you should bring those down and we should play Nerf Wars in your house.
Start playing in the house, and we would just kind of run around, shoot each other. Eventually we developed some games.
It got to the point where people started to want to come over just to play Nerf because they were having such a good time.
And it was great for a while. Like, there was probably 2 months where I wanted to play every day, and then it got a little stale, so we started playing upstairs, and we took it as far as we possibly could. At one point in time, I knocked part of a wall out and then added an additional door so we could have 2 fighting walkways that went the entire length of the house, and that bought us another few months. But it was inevitable that we were gonna get tired of playing inside. I knew at that moment, we have to expand or this is gonna die. And that scared me. Like Nerf, we're tired of it inside. Why couldn't I just run around the backyard and shoot people? And then the idea goes crazy. I'm like, I could build some stuff. What could you build? Well, you could build cover. And then I started thinking about Cabrera and just all the crap that they build out of things they just found.
We started really expanding as much as we could. Eventually that just wasn't enough, and we had to claim the yard. We had outgrown Rob's home, and we needed to take over his yard.
So one day, Rob calls me up, and he says, Ryan, I got an idea. He says, I want to build like 6 barricades in the backyard. We'll just put up just a few. I got scrap plywood. It'll be no big deal. And I say, Rob, you're a moron. I'll bring my screw gun.
And I think within like 2 or 3 days, I had built a building back there, and there was 3 times the amount of cover. And I kept running these ideas by Ryan because he was really my sounding board for a long time with a lot of things that I did. He's like, no, we don't need that. It's cool, you know. I think he thought we'd play every month or 2, maybe once a year, kind of it's an option for crap that we can do from time to time.
So I went along fine with the barricades. The barricades were great. You tell me we're putting up barricades, we're putting up barricades. Then Rob comes to me and he says, we're gonna build towers. And I'm like, Rob.
Every day I wanted to play every week. And again, we were in the same situation where we were inside of, I am in love with this and I am gonna just ride this until I get bored or find something better. And things got out of control quickly.
He was working nonstop, pretty much full time on his backyard.
I was like, hey Justin, I kind of feel like building some weird stuff in the backyard. You want to?
This is his rebellion against the rest of the little houses that are all painted exactly the same and are all fenced exactly the same. And here's Thunderdome. Here's just one little speck of bright rebellion where we're saying, no, we're making a carnival and we're gonna have 30 guys fight in it. It's funny that Rob was so into Call of Duty before he got into Nerf, because you got your headset on, you got your controller, and out here you're running around, you know? You're moving, you're ducking behind cover, you're physically doing that. And it's not an adequate portrayal of warfare, certainly, but it's a game that's trying to simulate that on some level. We painted everything and we built up these structures, we built towers, we built drawbridges. This is on a smaller scale, but we're talking about walking in the footsteps of empires here. This is what men have been doing all throughout history.
Everyone was kind of sick of playing Nerf, but I just had this vision. If I build something awesome, eventually people are gonna come play with me. And then I go to this party, and I'm thinking, okay, if I have a bunch of Nerf guns, there's a bunch of college kids, someone's gonna see Nerf gun and be like, Nerf guns, I like Nerf guns. And then I'll be like, hey, by the way, I have this crazy circus land in my backyard where we can shoot each other with these Nerf guns.
We were the crazy Nerf guys, and we didn't expect to find anyone else who was like into that stuff. And so coming to that and seeing that, I was really surprised.
And some guy's like, hey, if you like Nerf guns, you should come out to our thing on Missouri State campus, we play Nerf. I'm like, you do what?
LAS stands for Live Action Society. It's always been a group of just Nerf guns and people running around shooting each other. We get kind of a bad connotation sometimes because people think that we're actually into LARP, which is like hit points and lightning bolts and stuff. I always like to think of Live Action Society as the island of misfit toys. We're all a bunch of weird people in our own way as far as society is concerned, and we bond over that a whole lot.
So I go out there, I've got my modified guns and everything, I don't know what to expect. And the first game we played was Spartans, and there was like 30 people on each side, and the goal was to just everyone get ready and then just run at each other. You know, I had told a couple of the guys that I met up there, the officers, the people who were in charge, I was like, hey, so I got this thing in my backyard, I got this Nerf course, and some were like, you got a what?
So I think a lot of people were skeptical, though, just like, there's no way, no one's ever done this. It just doesn't happen, like, which is strange too. Think about, like, I don't know, like, even as children, like, we all have that dream to like playing with Nerf guns. You're like, one of these days I'm gonna like make a giant Nerf course, and then it just like dies out.
Now I'm thinking, you know, he's got a couple of 2x4s set up in the backyard, big deal, whatever.
And then I went through that Jurassic Park gate for the first time, the drawbridge, and like it just kind of blew my mind.
It was like every dream me and my friends from high school had ever had, and it was just all in one backyard.
The energy and the life that I felt just running around and playing with these people that I didn't know their names. I had not met anybody, and they were treating me like one of their own. It was just this amazing feeling that I've never received in any other group of people that I've been a part of.
Playing in Thunderdome is a lot more intimate. You see people more, it's a lot more hectic, it's a lot more Halo style, you know, everybody's going everywhere and shooting everybody. The cover lends itself to Nerf a little bit more because the ranges are a little bit lower than if you're playing like airsoft or paintball or something.
This is bigger than I ever thought this was. I thought this was just people hanging out and playing with Nerf guns, and it drew me in like a drug. I have to come back. I have to see what this is about.
After that first initial wave of like the 6 kids who came over, they told their friends and they told their friends, and that growth that I was just begging for, please come play this with me. It started and it was like, it caught on fire and it just grew. All right, clear the gate! And I had people coming up to me and just being like, are you that Nerf guy who has that thing in your back? Yeah, you want to come play?
Bonjour, are you ready? Ready! Isengard, are you ready? Ready! 3, 2, 1! Get it down! Oh, got it! Got it!
I think the best part is it's not something that you have to have a skill for necessarily right off the bat. You don't have to, oh, I'm good at baseball because I have good hand-eye coordination. Like, even if you're not that coordinated, you can still shoot a gun. You might not hit anything, but it's still a lot of fun.
I was an only child growing up, so like I didn't really play with other kids too much. I was always like playing video games. But I do remember the first time coming out here, I mean, I was really nervous just because I'm like, there's a lot of people I didn't know, so.
I've noticed that some of the girls who are nervous to jump in are afraid of getting sweaty and not looking pretty. And so I've made a point of coming over with no makeup on and hair up and not trying to look good because it helps encourage my female friends to not worry about what they look like playing.
Being a girl in Thunderdome is really fun. It's a lot of guys and there's a few girls, but like I feel like every girl who's here just kicks ass at everything. And I especially feel like one of the girls now that just like loves it and I'm good at what I'm doing and it just makes me feel so powerful. In my free time I used to just like lounge around my house, not really do much, but now it's just like if I have free time I just want to do something. There's just something better to be doing with your free time than watching TV.
Rob has this really good way of giving people a lot of opportunities to express a lot of different talents and skills. So he's always making an effort to have people over to do things like mod guns or build pieces of cover or paint things. One of the main ways which I deal with just coping with life is through doing things like painting, through just hanging out with people and having a relaxing time, through positive social interaction. And so it has been really helpful in those ways.
I think something I'd really like to say about Thunderdome is that it came at a very opportune time in my life. I've had a really rough summer, and having Thunderdome to come to and kind of distract myself from that and get some physical activity, that's actually one of the things that really has drawn me to come back to Thunderdome more and more. I wanted to get more in shape, not for how I looked, not for anything like that, but so that I could play longer and not get so tired. And just that has kind of actually changed my exercising behaviors in the last couple months for something as, I guess, as frivolous as playing Nerf has been a better impetus for me to work out than worrying about my health or what I look like at all.
So Nerf is totally for kids. The difference isn't that Nerf is for kids, it's that it's okay for you to be a kid. And that's what Nerf is. It's all about having fun.
Isengard, are you ready? Woo! Barjo, are you ready? Yeah! 3, 2, 1!
I cancel other scheduled activities to go to Thunderdome if I hear that there's one happening. I try my hardest to get everybody I know involved in it. As skeptical as everybody is, the moment they show up and they see what it is and they witness it firsthand and they become immersed in that culture, they get drawn in and they come back. I don't think I've ever taken anybody who hasn't returned several times. Thunderdome is community. You know, it's not so much about the community or for the community, it is community. It is a community filled with people who came together and they have a great time together. I would never trade it for anything. I would not trade it for anything. I wouldn't trade it. I like it. Okay, it's a good time. We'll go with that.
What? That was me. Is that game? No, partner wins! Okay. Pick up darts with sides. How are we doing on darts? Do we need more?
Probably. One thing about Nerf is that it's really hard to tell people. Just be like, oh yeah, I play Nerf. Rob kind of brought me to the point where it was like, I don't care what people think.
And if it wasn't for Rob, I honestly don't think I'd be in the same place that I am right now because of unconditional love, acceptance, and just trying to have people interact and have fun.
And the community is all-encompassing and all-welcoming, but we're also very protective of that big ideal that if you're not cool with everybody, you're not cool with anybody.
The point of Thunderdome is to bring people, is to build this community and to bring new people into it. I think there's a tendency with some people to be like, all right, we've got this core group of people and we have to keep it at that. But for me, the goal is to share this happiness and to change the world in my small way, because this is the world that I have. I can create whatever I want in this backyard, and I want it to be a place where everyone is welcome.
One time I told Rob that he seemed like the Übermensch to me, because the Übermensch in Nietzschean philosophy is sort of this creative force who doesn't let traditional standards, doesn't let traditional morality, doesn't let traditional creative efforts really bind him or dictate how he lives his life. The Übermensch and Rob, I think, is a kind of person who is creative and creates a new thing and just says, this is what I'm going to do. If you want to be involved with this, you can be involved. We can all have a good time, but I'm not going to let you tell me what to do.
Describing Rob is very difficult sometimes. They're like, well, how'd you meet him? I was like, well, on campus. They're like, so he goes there. I'm like, no, he's an alumni. How old is he? Almost 30. I don't know how to describe it, but it doesn't seem to matter to me, the age or the fact that he's not on campus or anything like that, because it's all just about people. And he's part of the group. He's part of the family that we seem to have created here. And I really don't care what they think, honestly.
I don't know, it's something like I wish I could have more of, and wish it could expand further, because it's a really awesome experience, especially for a lot of people who don't do much else. It really brought a lot of people out, and everyone made a lot more friends that way.
It's not just toy guns. It's not just playing outside with a bunch of people. It's the human interaction that is what makes people come back.
I never would have tried to seek out people before. I always just kind of would want to be by myself and then kind of just wallow in my misery.
There's really two things that led to Nerf guns growing in older people. If you search Nerf right now, one of the first things that's going to come up is a website called Nerf Haven. And all that is about is modifying your Nerf guns to shoot harder and, be more accurate and stuff like that. So people see that website, they're like, hey, that's cool, I'll go throw $10 in and see what happens. And they're impressed and they show their friends and it builds from there.
My dad's an engineer and machinist, so I'm very much about the maximizing output and using exotic machinery to get the absolute best, most polished result.
When Cameron met Rob, I thought it was a good thing because Rob was always really intense, he always had something going on. He always had a project, he always was active, he knew what he wanted to do and he got it done.
I think Rob sees a lot of himself in Cameron. He sees Cameron kind of as his prodigy, that he can fix the things that Rob thinks he messed up in his life through Cameron by teaching him and mentoring him and showing him what he's learned in his life.
Me and Cameron always had a brotherly relationship. So when Rob met him for the first time and they started hanging out and stuff, he had more of an equal friendship thing. It just treated him like he was Cameron. And that really gave him a lot of confidence that I guess we never really realized that he needed.
And I think seeing that sort of motivation motivated Cameron to not waste time, I guess to just make the most of everything that he has, because he's getting a degree, he has tons of friends, it's so much. You don't even realize how lucky you are. And I think meeting Rob helped Cameron realize that he had all these things in front of him, all he had to do was use them at his disposal,
His phrase is, be a real person. Get off the couch, do something with your life. Netflix is always going to be there, or you can get outside and do something, or you can build something, or you can make something and have something in your life that lasts.
He walked different almost. It was a very subtle thing, but it was the first friendship I think that he had in college where he wasn't the little brother.
Settling into a life as an adult where I do the same thing every day and that nothing ever changes, that scares the hell out of me. And coming to Thunderdome and seeing what Rob does, he showed me that it doesn't have to be that way. You can still enjoy yourself. You can still do what you want. You can accomplish so much if you put your mind to it. And to me, that's really inspiring.
Are you tired of sitting in your dorm room bored? Hey, kid. Whoa! Catch! The fate of the world is in your hands. Humans versus zombies. A campus-wide zombie apocalypse that thrills and chills. Featuring high-intensity, blasted-up action. Tie the bandana around your arm and become a member of the human resistance. Ruby. Go get 'em, Tiger. Blast zombies with your standard issue Nerf gun. Bullseye. Or pound them with balled up socks. Friendship. Fight for food. Fight for survival. Hours and hours of entertainment with story-driven missions. HVZ's cool, and that makes me cool, too.
Nerf appeals to your Halo 3, your Call of Duty, that guy wants to go out and everybody secretly wants to be that character, because that's what a video game is. It's the experience of, let's go and be your own kind of action hero, and then Nerf is let's go, and it gets you off the couch, it gets you out, it makes you not headset friends, but it makes you real life hugging, shaking hands friends. Thank you, that was good looking out.
The one game I really had problems with as far as addiction goes was World of Warcraft. At First, I started playing with friends from high school, and I had a lot of time on my hands, so it wasn't really a problem. I still got my work done, whatever. But it got to a point where that's all I wanted to do. I would put off, even simple, basic things of living, like going to the bathroom or eating. I just didn't want to go upstairs to do it because I just wanted to play this game all the time. And then I went to college, and I didn't have all that disposable time that I had in high school, but I was still playing. For the most part, I didn't just ignore my friends. I would still go hang out with them, but sometimes, they do stuff, and I'd just be like, I just want to sit here and play WoW, and looking back on it, it kind of creeps me out, that was just what I wanted to do. A lot of people will not take video game addiction seriously. They'll just be like, oh, come on, really? You're not physically addicted to this video game, you can stop, you just have to have the willpower. And I'm like, well, that's what it's all about, is the willpower, and this game kind of takes it away from you in a way. I had to cut myself off, I had to stop like cold turkey. I got to a point where I'm like, I can't do this anymore. This is actually harming my life significantly. I have to stop.
I mean, I don't think people realize how detrimental social media and video games are to people's lives when they let it affect them to that level. And we've gotten to the point where we've accepted as a society that that's okay, just to have that cutoff, and it's terrible. As humans, we're built to feed off each other, and if we don't have that, we die. We don't survive. We don't evolve as people. We need each other.
There are times when Rob's played too many video games, but there's times when I've played too many video games. And if Rob told me not to play too many video games, I'd say, well, no, fuck you, Rob, But if Rob came to me and he said, look, I think you've been playing too many video games recently, and I'm worried about you, man. You're not getting out, you're not meeting people, then that's a different thing. That's a friend coming to a friend.
Before this HVZ, it was a little bit hard to get a hold of him because he gets wrapped up in projects a lot, which shows his passionate side.
So that's the one kind of, I guess, disappointing thing is that there's not really a balance there. It's not just spending 5 hours a night on whatever he's working on and then just kind of have the rest of the time for balance that everyone else would have. And most people don't have that mentality, so I feel like he might end up being kind of lonely, and I feel sorry for him for that.
I know he missed us a lot from the way that he talked about it, but it's Cameron's last semester, and I have one more after this, so I maybe have 8 months left, and I wasn't seeing him at all. And he's like, I wish I could see you more, I wish I could see you more, and I'm like, you're the one setting your schedule, this is your choice, and we're not gonna be here forever. You just have to remember that,
When Rob is laying in bed at night, he has to sit there and worry that maybe he won't wake up. That's a thing. He just, what if I don't? What if I die in the middle of the night and I never wake up in the morning again? And then I'm just not a person.
I think if a person hasn't questioned taking their own life at least once over the course of their existence, I don't know if they really get it. I don't know if they really get the sick joke that is existence. We are so lucky that we are the ones who survived. We're the ones who exist. But there's just so many dark things in this world.
It's a different take on the world. It's a different take on what life is. It's a different take on the chances that you can take. And yet, Rob is still the guy who runs back into the burning plane crash, And so he's able to overcome this when he needs to. But at the same time, it's gonna haunt him.
I don't think he's the kind of person that could ever raise a family and have a wife. Not that he doesn't have the love or the ability, but I don't think that he has the stability in his own mind to do that.
That is the product of Rob not being able to overcome his fear of death. And so either you just accept it and you say, yes, I'm going to die. That's going to happen to me, and nothing I can do about it. I've got, so many decades left? Am I really gonna count those? Or am I gonna say, I'm gonna live, and if I die, then I die?
It's Nerf or nothing.
I think that there's literally no chance that evolution is not selected for violent, aggressive behaviors in mankind. Now, the flip side of that coin is that evolution is also selected for caring behaviors. It's also selected for people setting up big parties and inviting all their friends over and feeding them all and having that great group camaraderie atmosphere. And we're doing both. We're sitting there and we're shooting at each other, but then we're also getting together and eating pizza. And it's a big communal thing. I think that there's a give and a take. We're all saints and sinners. We all have things that we don't want to tell anybody else because it's a deep, dark secret that we're ashamed of. We all have that. And we also have good things that we've done for people and never taken credit for, and never bothered to say, yes, I'm the person who did that, because we did it for the sake of doing it.
I suspect that Rob's experiences throughout life, the hard times that he's gone through, the PTSD that he's dealt with and things, have probably shown him just kind of what the misery can be like, you know, and what that pain can be like. And once you've been there, it's really hard to not want to help other people out of it.
He doesn't believe in God or going to church, but since he's afraid of death because he doesn't believe in that, he also ends up creating this group of people who believe in essentially the same ideals that come together weekly to hang out and participate in those ideals. I just think it's kind of ironic.
You see a lot of people who are big video game players coming into LAS specifically for HVZ because it has a similar feel to it. There's this fear that you don't get even when you're playing like horror video games or whatever. It's just this very real, I could die, it's obviously not real, but you get this very terrified, like shaky feeling the whole time, and it gets people coming back. Even if you didn't realize you were an adrenaline junkie before, you are now.
It may sound sad, but what makes me come alive most, I think, is specifically humans versus zombies.
And anybody that spends any time looking into Nerf guns at all is going to find this eventually. They find colleges, campuses that do this, and eventually maybe some of them try to get it on their college campus.
We're playing HVZ on the Missouri State campus. Right now I am an NPC. I'm supposed to be a super soldier.
Humans versus zombies is essentially just a big game of tag. If you're a zombie, all you have to do is tag people and then they become a zombie. If you're a human, if you shoot the zombie, they're stunned for a certain amount of time. The game usually goes on for a week, week and a half, something like that, with missions and things that humans have to accomplish in order to survive.
Basically, however many people sign up, one of them is assigned as the original zombie, or the OZ, and that person has to tag with firm hand as many people as they can, and whoever they tag becomes zombies, and they can tag other people, so it's like an infection spreading.
If you're gonna really have the humans versus zombies experience, you have to pretend like if you get tagged, you're actually dying and you have to fight for your life. And I think that dying matters. And at Battle Royale and at Thunderdome, like, it doesn't really matter. You get shot and if someone says they got you, you're out and you round up and you set it up again and you're fine. But at HVZ, like, it's a big deal. But there's thousands of other kids on the campus just hanging out. And you just sprint by them with a Nerf gun, just looking like an asshole. And everyone's just like, is someone chasing you? Are you okay? Are you being raped? Like, there's nothing in your brain that knows how to handle that scenario unless you've done HVZ, and it's great.
So you have the obvious things. Like, you've got the overweight guy who wants to be really good at HVZ and drops 50 pounds in 2 semesters, and that's like, that's great. That's incredible. Like, the body transformations I've seen these goofy toys put people through, from like not quite so hot to like you could climb Olympus, is incredible.
For personal reasons, I had to drop out last semester, and it was killing me because I knew that I was just starting to become part of this group and meet these people, and I was just forming these relationships. But unless you keep coming back, they're naturally going to forget you. That's just how life works. I just kept seeing all the posts about Humans versus Zombies is coming up, and so I signed up for HVZ in the spring. Had no idea that as soon as I got down here for the first mission, everybody, as soon as they're like, Harry, where have you been? And like, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you. Inside me, I'm just like, I'm ready to cry. And they were just so excited and so pumped up. Just that small little thing, and has just made my life so much better. And I can just get up in the morning and feel great about myself because I know there's this group of people that will just take me in no matter what.
1, 2, 3, the psychological change that it has on people. You can take people who feel super left out, who feel really alone, no matter what they're doing, church group, high school, college. Some people just don't have that spirit of community that I think that people really need. And it'll put you in a dark place. And then I've seen these neon toy guns bring people back from that. And it's
is something completely transformative and special.
I can't hear you! All right!
So maybe you're kind of avoiding fighting people during the day and sneaking around, but every night all the humans got to get together and you got to complete a mission, and all the zombies are going to get together too.
It seemed like every mission the zombies would try to surround the humans, and Rob was always there pointing out the special zombies, pointing out how we were making a move, and he's foiling our plot.
There's so many zombies at this point. Like, Chad the OZ was just doing so good.
I think I have a good leadership style for it. I make people want to follow me instead of just barking orders at everybody.
There was not a lot of us left as the humans. And so when we get to the meeting, Ninja Squad, which is kind of the elite guys, they're just like, we gotta go. There's no way we can complete this mission. We have to go. It's our only option.
Me and my friends have been playing this game for 4 years at this point. We've survived almost every single time, so I know when to cut and run and when it's okay to stay and fight. So we got to look at the zombie horde, we got to look at our objective and all that, and I was talking with a couple of the guys that have been playing forever, and we just realized we were screwed. There was no way we had to cut it, and I had to take care of these guys.
Ended up being, I think, about 77 zombies to about 17 humans. It was pretty disgusting numbers.
I'm not running. And I gather everyone around and be like, hey guys, I'm staying. If anyone else wants to stay, and Ninja Squad looks at me like, are you crazy? There's no way we can do this. I'm like, it's not really about it. I want to play the game, you know, and this comes from Thunderdome of, first and foremost, you have fun. And if you win because you ran, that ain't a way I want to win.
We all try to convince him not to, but he's like, no, I'm doing this. Like, if you guys want to run, that's fine. I'll hold them off, and then I'm gonna try to complete the mission if I can. He had a vest on with like mags and mags and mags and mags and mags. The guy must have had 300 plus rounds on him. He was a one-man army.
I kind of call for volunteers to stay behind with me, and I'm make it very clear we're not gonna make it, but they know that.
The mission started. We all ran for our lives. That was terrifying, just because the horde usually does a group roar together right to start the mission.
And you could hear it across the entire campus. It was just, you knew you were screwed, but I couldn't wait to face them all.
Let's go!
So as soon as that mission started, my goal as the OZ, as the person that the zombies were all listening to, was to just find the humans. I gotta know where they are. I gotta get my zombies over there. I gotta have them chase these guys. And all of a sudden, I hear somebody yelling from the 50-yard line of the football field, "Zombies!" And like, I looked at the zombies and just the looks on their faces, they're like, is this really about to happen? This is gonna be awesome.
All of a sudden, it was extremely clear that they weren't having any of it. They wanted to fight.
They're on the field, everybody get up!
And then all of a sudden I get a hand on me and I'm like, yeah! So it was like, this is the best death ever. And then I told them all what happened, and they realized that these guys stayed so we could have this moment, so we could talk about this and enjoy it rather than running away.
They had to have killed at least 25 zombies in that charge. They had so much ammo, you know, they were mowing them down, but you know, there were just too many. The relief when you get tagged as a human that there's nothing more to protect anymore. You can just go crazy and just respawn is just one of the greatest feelings, you know. It's like a giant weight is lifted off your shoulder.
The thing that you were trying to not have happen has happened, and you realize it's not that bad.
You know, there's a lot of stress involved, even if you're playing just a game. You know, you don't want to die. You just don't want to. That's it. You're thinking about it, and as a human, that's just like, thinking about it is heartbreaking, even though it's awesome after. So people kind of freak out, but Rob, I felt like he took it exactly the right way. You know, he came to play. His style of Thunderdome kind of translated to Humans vs. Zombies really, really well, in that he took it as what it's supposed to be, fun.
So it's winter. We've been playing inside a little bit. A couple games here and there just to keep it going, but it's been snowing and it's just been gross outside. But I'm really looking forward to that nice spring day, that first day where I can go out in the backyard and build something else in Thunderdome. And I quickly realized that I'm out of room back here. There's nowhere else to go with this, and if you build more crap back here, it's just gonna be too congested with all the people. this is going to be the same thing that happened with Thunderdome on the inside. It's going to get stale, and then no one's going to want to come anymore because we're doing the same stuff over and over again until the wheels just start turning. I was like, what else could I do? I was like, this doesn't have to be expanding Thunderdome. I can make another Thunderdome anywhere. I was like, I want to go bigger. Because we had a small course here, I want to go bigger.
Thunder Ranch is this spit of land in the middle of nowhere, Missouri, that Rob somehow found. I have no idea how.
So if I was going to do this, I needed someone to do it with me. And I called Cameron. I'm like, man, I'm going to ask you something. And you can say no, it's cool, don't worry about it. But I'm buying this land, and I want you to step up. I think you got it in you. I want you to step up and be a big part of this. I want to teach you about building stuff, and I think you're going to have a ton of fun. What do you say?
It really blew me away that after meeting him for that short of a period of time, he trusted me that much, and I meant that much to him. It meant a lot, and it really took me off guard. You know, Rob's whole thing is, he built Thunderdome with a bunch of people, and it kind of evolved into all of their ideas, and he wanted Thunder Ranch to be the same deal.
Because I think the seeds had already been planted in Cameron for big things to happen, and I could see him within the past couple of months of us becoming friends and doing things together and being productive and being real people, that he was coming alive from that.
I was really excited about him getting that land, and we were already spitballing a lot of ideas, like all the time about, we could build this, we could build that, we could do this. And when he finally actually had property, I was really excited to go out there.
So about a week later, loaded the car up, and we headed out there together. And as soon as he saw it, I saw his eyes light up.
I absolutely love the place.
And the first thing I said to him is, this is yours. I may have the title to it, it may be legally mine, but I want you to have ownership of this. I want you to feel like this is your baby, and I want you to have pride in it. I don't know if he'd ever experienced anything like that. I don't know if he'd ever had something of his own like that.
Really, there are no rules out there. You can kind of build what you want, do what you want. If you can think it, you can do it. Rob's not going to stop you. The phrase is, I support your right to do whatever you want out there.
It's hard to really see it, but there's probably 60 or 70 pieces of cover just in this field alone. And this is our close quarters combat city. We're gonna do a little bit of a pond or lake over there eventually when I get some money for that. But we intend on building a whole bunch more of these little structures. This is just recycled kind of tin roof. This is all part of a pallet. That's a handle off of a cabinet that I used to have. Honestly, I hate to say the outhouse kind of looks like the slums in Africa, but this is directly inspired with just recycling parts and stuff.
Rob's teaching style is definitely kind of show me a rough idea of what I need to do, and then send me out with a huge project. And there was one point where I was asking him what to do, and he said, here's what I want done, you have the skills, do it. And just that he has those confidence in my abilities, and that he really wants you to kind of trial and error and learn for yourself. I think he and I learned in a very similar way, and that he and I would probably teach in a very similar way. And it's been very positive to actually see that, I'm not a dumb person, and when I'm actually learning in a way and applying my knowledge in a way and doing in a way that I'm good at, I can be very successful.
Immediately, it was apparent that Nerf was not going to work out there. There was too much grass, the distances were too far. So Cameron busted out his bag of airsoft guns, and we played a little bit. And we chased each other around. Shannon was being Rambo.
And we played most of the same games that we kind of do out here, a lot of medics, but we also do one-on-one games. It's more of a combat feel than just a fun thing, and I really like it.
It was a good idea until we tried airsoft for the first time. We're like, that's
so easier. Much better. Blue, are you ready? Go!
After being involved in Thunder Ranch, I'm definitely more confident in my abilities, and I'm definitely more confident in myself. Just because I really did feel like a different person out there. I felt a lot more confident. I was a leader out there. So it's very much been a learning experience just because of having more confidence in my abilities, if anything.
Yeah, if I hadn't gotten involved in this community, I don't know where I'd be. I mean, I made so many friends just by showing up.
Right now we are at the final briefing for the last night of Humans vs. Zombies on Missouri State University campus. Tonight I'm going to be proposing to my girlfriend Nicole Noonan, who is the original zombie for this game. We met through Nerf, we do Nerf together. She's the one that really got me into this whole community. Our whole relationship has kind of been founded around Nerf and continues to be. Basically the plan is she thinks that there's additional footage being filmed of her as the original zombie or the OZ chasing after me because she's been trying to get me all week. I'm going to be emptying this, missing every time, and when she gets close enough, just dropping down on one knee and proposing. Hopefully she says yes. I take it that's a yes.
I haven't been this excited about what I'm doing with my life in quite a while. Probably since I was a senior in high school, ready to graduate, not knowing what was out there. And now that I do know what's out there and I feel like I can just grab the bull by the horns and just go for it and just do it.
I came here not knowing anyone. I just thought I'd meet people through college and stuff, and then somehow I just fell into this huge group of people who love Nerf, and I'd never really played before I came here. So I think it's a good outlet for me, but the people are like family. They've always been like a family to me, and that's the only way I could ever think of them.
The whole like Nerf community is definitely like the most accepting community I've ever like met. I mean, as long as you're like cool about everything and you just want to have fun, and like they love you just for that. So like Rob and everyone else has really brought that out in me, and that's made me a much like happier person because of that. I could never imagine myself doing that before. Like it's just, he's so open and inviting to everyone, and it really like makes me like want to be more like that too.
What you do right now matters. And I think that's important for everybody in the world. Like people just walk around, these kids that come to Rob's Thunderdome, they maybe have one chance. They come, someone doesn't love on them, someone doesn't make them feel special, they don't come back. What you do right now matters on a Tuesday in Springfield, Missouri. What you do right now matters in Africa. Is a plane crash, is on fire, and people need to be helped.
After falling on my face so many times, it's awesome. It's a complete 180 to actually be able to have that mindset of just, you know, I've only got one life and I'm gonna live it. I'm gonna get the most out of it. I'm not gonna wait for opportunities to come. I'm going to find opportunities for myself. I'm gonna create them if I can't find them.
It's silly to think that a group of people that play with toys are the most accepting and beautiful people on campus, but it's true. I honestly don't think I'd be here if it wasn't for them. It's one of those things you don't think will work, but it does, and you're glad it does, because I know if it wasn't for this group of people, not only myself, but a lot of other people would not be here today.
If you pursue something and you really pursue it because you love it, and you invite people to pursue it with you, with all of your energy, with all of your emotion, you can accomplish great things.
I look back on my life, and it's been a series of ups and downs, and I just can't even believe the things that have happened. And I wish I could go back and have a conversation with my 22-year-old self and just shake him and be like, there's so much more you can live for. There's a different way to live. And maybe everyone who comes to Thunderdome, maybe I can change their life in a small way. And I can create the world that I want to create in my own backyard.
Everybody has a chess club that gets made fun of. Everybody should have a Nerf club where everybody is welcome.
There is potential to save lives with Nerf families, and I really hope that you'll join us on that journey.
If you have a strange passion for plastic toy guns that shoot foam darts, you're not alone.
Nerf is for any age, kids, adults.
You may not know this, but there are hundreds of HVZs held every year all over the world.
Australia, New Zealand,
America, Canada, China, Germany, Japan.
There's probably already a Nerf group in your area.
Nerf is more than just playing with toys.
It's a global community.
And we can't wait for you to be part of our community.
And we're a family.
We'd love to have you be a part of that family.
And if you're worried about not being accepted, I can guarantee we're all just as weird as you.
We are the Misfits.
We can't wait to meet you.
City of Wars!
Nothing more!
Burn! St. Louis Thunderdome! Mountain Wars! 3 new books, HBZ!
Novacon! We are the Hobart Nerf Squadron from Tasmania! Hoorah!
Leisure Night Owls! Southern Nerf Club! We are the beat! Yeah!
Thunderdome affects people. Your Nerf group affects people and has the ability to save your friends' lives. I think this subject gets danced around a whole lot, and I'm talking about suicide. Thinking about killing yourself. When people are thinking about killing themselves, they're hesitant to talk about it because they're afraid of what you'll think, they're afraid of what people will do if they say that, but it doesn't change the fact that they're still in a dark place. So if you're watching this right now, I know this is weird, but if you're thinking about killing yourself, please don't. People care. I care. And there are reasons to live, I promise you. The best advice I can give you is fall in love with something. Find a project, find a hobby, find something that makes you come alive and chase it. Share it with the people you love and it will change you. And that dark place suddenly starts to get a little bit brighter when you're chasing your dreams. So everyone who's watching this, if you know your buddy's in a really rough spot and you know they're dealing with some stuff, just try and be there for them and let them know, even if the conversation is weird, that if you're ever at a point where you're thinking about killing yourself, call me. So please, let your friends know that you care. It's gonna be a weird conversation, it's gonna be a little awkward, but sometimes we need the people around us to remind us that life's worth living.
Gently, gently.
This is my personal crossbow. I want you to have it. Drac has done some modifications to it. We are both very proud of you and Thunderdome, Nova Scotia. Keep being awesome. Your friend Rob.
I'd been nerfing for a while, but at around about the age of 10 or 11, I bought this blaster, which was awful. It was a Busby blaster. It was useless. It broke about a week after I got it. But when I went to go and buy it, my mom said that I had too many Nerf blasters. And so she made me sign a contract at the age of 10 to say that I wasn't allowed to buy any other Nerf ever again. So I'd play with the few blasters that I had and the few darts I had. And then I built my one piece of cover stealthily when my mother wasn't noticing. And then I built another one and another one. And then one day she looked out her window and she said, "Jack, what are those massive pieces of wood filling up my driveway?" And I said, "Oh, well, I'm building an arena for my friends." And she said, "No, you're not." One day, I was building it, and I sort of decided to lay it out where it is now. And she didn't seem to complain, so I put more and more pieces there. And then one day, I came home from school, and I said, "You know that guy Rob that I was telling you about that built Thunderdome?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, he found out about it, and he wants me to make Thunderdome, Nova Scotia with his help." And she said, "Really? Because you don't know this guy." And I said, "I know." And then I said, "But he'd like to talk to you to make sure that it's all okay with you." And she went, "All right, that's fine, I'll talk to him." And then I got my first Thunderdome care package, which was just full of like 20 pairs of eye protection and some money to build cover and stuff. And then I think at that point she sort of accepted that this was going to be my escape from life and my sort of expression of what I wanted to do with my life. So, and then as it got bigger and bigger, she would come out every once in a while.
and she would see the stuff that I vote, like I got lights and I set up speakers and stuff, and she'd go, wow, this is actually pretty big, and you guys are actually having a lot of people show up here. So she sort of accepted it. And then one day I said, so Mum, am I still not allowed to buy Nerf? And she said, I think I lost that war a long time ago. And that was when I knew that I'd officially won, and that I could build it to whatever my mind desired, provided it was in its own little corner.